in 2022, before I retired from WBAL television, I did a story on the community in Harford County that was organizing to fight a huge warehouse project. And I mean huge. 700 acres of farmland on the Perryman Peninsula. If you know want to know where that is, that's, you go up 95, you get off at, I think, exit 80. Exit 80. And then you go right, and it's a beautiful area. And this would be definitely change the landscape. So joining me this morning in studio are two of the folks I met during that story, and two of the folks that have been very active in fighting this project. Leigh Maddox and Paul Fallace from Perryman Peninsula, and the coalition. Thanks for joining me this morning. So let's just set the stage here so people can kind of visualize what we're talking about. Because I know when I went there, and the first time I pulled on, to the peninsula, and I saw this piece of land, I grew up in the country, and it was like, wow, that is a lot of land.
It is, and it's always been farmland, and it's right fronting the Bush River. It's a remarkable view. It's a flyby for birds, and it's surrounded by residential properties that have been there for, hundreds of years, some of them.
What's the project? I mean, what was the plan to put in there?
Yeah, so about 2 years ago, this time, we were the community was shocked with the size of this, over 5 million square feet of these mega warehouses on the farm that's over 700 acres. And so that was the original shock in kind of November of 2 years ago in 2021. And that's what, got us organized and, what's going on, try to get educated on it, understand the whole development process and then what we can do. And, in 2 years, we've made a lot of progress on not
remarkably so. I gotta say, you folks have really made some progress. So first of all, this was a developer that had done other warehouse developments, etc. And the land is owned by a single landowner. I know he told us, look, it's my property, I can do what I want. And it was zoned to allow this at the time. Am I correct?
It is. It's zoned light industrial. It was rezoned back from residential in 1997 when the community successfully fought back a mobile home development that they wanted to put on the Bush River. And so this was kind of a compromise zoning. Back then it was a new zoning category. We didn't really understand that it would allow for freight terminals to pave the entire area.
And notice the term that Leigh just used about freight terminal and not the term warehouse. Because, let's talk about that.
Yeah, that was a big, after Amazon and the iPhone, warehouses used to be where you stored lumber 30 years ago, and now we're getting everything from them, right? And so the amount of truck traffic that comes in and out of these buildings is tremendous. We already have 10 other buildings in Perryman, these humongous mega warehouses, and it's 40% of the mega warehouses in Harford County are just in the 5 mile square radius of Perryman. So we're already feeling the brunt of this. And to add another, 30% to that, another 5 million square feet was, it's unimaginable to the community.
So tell me how you fought it.
So we did a combination of things. We did hardcore grassroots organizing and getting all of our neighborhoods and our surrounding Harford County neighbors involved. And then we said, you know what, this might not be enough. Let's do some legal advocacy. Let's hire the best lobbying firm in the state of Maryland, Evans & Associates. Let's reach out to Baldwin Legal Group and get them thinking about our litigation strategy. And when you combine those forces together, it's unbeatable.
So what happened?
And we really made a paradigm shift, I think, in the county. We also got really involved and educated on the elections that happened to be the next year, an election year, which was, good timing for us.
And that was turns out to be very significant in this case, but go ahead.
Yes. So, county, we had a new county executive, Castley, and he's been very open, unlike the previous county executive, Glassman, on what our concerns are, a very open door and listening to what we are. He's listened to both sides, but it's been great. And, most recently we've passed legislation, which has taken us 2 years to get to. First, we had 2 different moratoriums to stop the project for about 6 months. And then finally, we've got legislation that just passed here.
And he just signed it, right, in October.
Yeah, and we wanted probably 10 major items on that, but we got about 50% of what we want, so we still have a lot of work to do, but we've made a lot of progress and really changed the atmosphere in the last 2 years.
So what will the new legislation do?
So the number one thing is it limits the size, right, to 250,000 square feet, right? So one of these warehouses on the original concept was going to be 1.7 million square feet.
Wow.
I don't know if you've ever seen how big that is.
It's like a quarter of a mile or something like that.
But if you look like the ones you're talking about in Baltimore County, the Amazon warehouses, they're like 800 or 1 million, right? So this is almost twice as big as that. It's almost unfathomable. It would have been like in the top 10 in the country in warehouse size. So limiting it to 250. Now, an area that we're concerned is we also wanted to say, all right, now you can't put 20 250s, and that part, that got taken out at the end. Even though, we had that in, that was we thought that was going to happen. So we still need to fight and make sure they can't put 250,000 square foot in.
The other not insignificant thing that this legislation did is it makes the developer go back to the drawing table. So we are always looking and mindful of their profit ratio and trying to reduce that as much as we can, because we want them to go back to Anne Arundel County. Honestly, stay out of Perryman. So this bill makes them go back to the drawing board with all their plans, and they're going to have to restart the entire process, which extends the time frame and makes the project more expensive.
It's interesting that this has transpired this way in Harford County, because the reputation in Harford County is that it's very pro-business, and, under the previous county executive, Barry Glassman, I think he vetoed a bill, am I correct?
He vetoed the original moratorium bill that we pushed through.
And obviously then, the job changed, et cetera, and you have a different county executive in place. But what do you think is going to happen now? I mean, where does your fight stand? This isn't the, kind of end-all, be-all, am I correct?
Yeah, so we're going after two other major areas is what, and concerns in the neighborhood. So number one is part of this big plan 30 years ago, they were supposed to put two major ways to get in and out of the Perryman community. This Woodley Road, I don't know if you went down there, it goes all the way to the end of this State Road 715, and then there's like 100 yards before it's not connected. So, and then they were also going to take another road off of Route 40, and so neither one of those have ever been done. And so there's only one way into Perryman, especially this area where we are. It's like a peninsula because of the train tracks and the water. And so if there's an emergency or an accident, like a tractor trailer flipping over, there's 400 homes and the families that could not get out of the peninsula. And so that's a major concern. And, I feel like the previous administration was deaf to that, and the new administration says that's and that's one of the things that went in this new legislation is that, one of those roads needs to be completed before the project moves on.
And this would be to access what's already there, because there are, as you said, there's already a series of warehouses, kind of north of you.
Right, that's to keep the current truck traffic out of our neighborhoods.
And I know, I'm very empathetic to that, having been there when we shot the story. A couple of times we were up there, and the amount of truck traffic already is just, coming off of 95, this is Route 7, if you can imagine, where we're talking about, along that area off of exit 80, 543. It's just a lot of truck traffic in and out of there. And I think that's an interesting point that you make. We're not talking here about storing things in warehouses. We're talking about exchanging things like terminals in and out with a lot of truck traffic.
And so we think that long term, our best option is to take that land and get it moved into preservation. So we have set up we're working on setting up a nonprofit, 4P Protect Peninsula Preservation Project, Perryman Peninsula Preservation Project, 4P, working to get that off the ground. We've also established a relationship with the Harford County Community Foundation, who can help us hold the money long term, because we're going to need, millions.
So you want to buy them out?
We want to buy them out, and we've already got, 20 to 30 million pledged. So it's just a matter of coming up with the rest, and we think it's extremely doable, especially when you look through all of this through the lens of environmental justice. So we have historically black communities in Perryman. We have farmland that was worked by slave populations back when slavery was how you got commerce moved in and out. And nothing has been reinvested in terms of all the profits that have come from the industrialization.
And kind of the historic, right?
Yeah, and it's flagrant. So we're looking very hard at all the environmental injustices and making sure that Perryman does not become the next sacrifice zone.
Well, thank you. Go ahead, Paul.
Oh, I was just going to add, I mean, another big element that usually gets people's attention is like 30% of the drinking water for Harford County, not just Perryman, is the aquifers that are underneath the farm. And so obviously paving, 50 to 60% of that is going to change that and affect people's drinking water. And it just seems like, you look at these other areas that have had contaminated water and you go back and say, we could have stopped this before this industrialization happened, go back to areas in Michigan and Detroit. And
sure.
This is an opportunity to stop that and not, because we know there are pollution plumes that have happened on APG. And if you mess with the water tables, that could pull that in. And, that's a big fear of not just us, but, other people should be concerned because it can affect up to 30% of the drinking water in the county.
Well, one of the reasons that we have this situation in Harford County with, this area and a developer that wants to turn it all into a lot of warehouses is online shopping. I think you kind of mentioned that. This is an online shopping effect of, this huge explosion of warehouse development and space. Ideally, it goes into an already industrial area that doesn't have an impact on a residential community. Obviously, that's what is involved here. And you folks have done a really remarkable job in terms of organizing the community.
Thank you.
Thanks,
right.
Thanks a lot, Jayne.
Leigh, Maddox, and Paul Fallace, both of the Perryman Peninsula P3. 3P coalition fighting the warehouse development in their community. Thanks for coming in today.
Yeah, if I could just add, so if you want to find out more information, it's protectperryman.com. We have a nice website.
There you go. You're pretty active on Facebook too.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can follow along. All right, keep me posted.
We will. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. This is the Jayne Miller Show on WBAL News Radio 1090 and 101.5 FM.